Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Uncle Bogator channel. Today is something a little bit out of the norm. Actually, it's way out of the norm for what I normally do. Normally motorcycle content, rides, mechanical issues, etc. But I needed to kind of step back and take a look at this. If you've clicked on this video, you undoubtedly have been watching all sorts of other reactions out there. This won't be the first one. And this isn't just reaction. I felt like I wanted to do somewhat of a reaction. I have heard the song. This isn't fresh. And I want to provide some thoughts from some other reactions that I saw that I thought were pertinent to the conversation of today. So without further ado, let's get right into the song itself. Richmond, North of Richmond by Oliver Anthony Music.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame. What?
That part, and a lot of people have already spoken about that piece of it, wasting my life away. There's a point. Now, I don't know how old Oliver Anthony is. I could have dug in a little bit deeper if I wanted to see, but I've gotten to a point in my life, and I actually did a video a couple of years ago about getting older and lonelier. There's a point where you get to a place in your life where you get up, you go to work, and you come home, and you have dinner, and maybe you watch TV or edit YouTube videos or whatever you're doing on the side. All you're doing is preparing for bed so you can do the same thing over and over again. For some, it happens earlier than others, but there is a point where you realize that's all you're doing. Is you're just doing this thing over and over again, not strictly out of repetition. It's not just out of habit. It's because you have to. I have to go to work to help provide for my family, but it's just enough to get by. Some people are in a lot better position. There's a lot of people out there in a much better position, but it's still just, you're just getting a piece of pie, not the whole pie. You're not even getting the whole pie that you helped bake, if that makes any sense. It might be a dumb analogy, but that's what I take it.
What the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich.
So, living in a new world with an old soul is a line that a lot of people have really grabbed a hold of, and I get that. You don't have to be my age or older. You don't have to be this guy's age or older to really grasp that. And I don't even think the old soul. I watched another reaction of this, No Life Shack. A lot of guys who watch reactions watch him. He's an expert in reactions, in my opinion. You know, he equated that a little literally to where, hey, I'm born in 1993, but I felt like I was born in the wrong generation. And that's certainly a way to look at it, but I don't necessarily believe that the old soul aspect has to do with generational. There may be some generational values, but I think the old soul component for me is, you know, you get up, you go to work, you have the work ethic, you have the provider, you know, in this case, the provider point of view from how you're conducting your life, in an age where, now this is where it goes back to the song, you know, living in today's world with an old soul, or a new world with an old soul. Maybe today's generation, this isn't a generational argument, so before you get your Cheeto encrusted fingertips all over the keyboard to tell me, you know, call me boomer, or what, Generation X, by the way. Maybe in today's generation, you know, the same work ethic. Not saying that it's worse. It's not the same work ethic. You have, you know, a very old-fashioned approach to going to work, providing for the family, sleeping, going to work, providing for the family, sleeping, just over and over and over again, just to get a piece of your pie, like I mentioned before. And maybe that's not the most eloquent way to put it, but you know, I'm old and my brain's turned to mush, so that's what I got there.
So these rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. think. Wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do.
That's the chorus, right? He does this twice. And I think that's honestly probably the most important lines in the entire song. The Richmond, north of Richmond, which, by the way, there are many reactions I've seen where they just kind of brush over north of Richmond. Either they don't want to address it or they don't understand it. Whereas there was one, I believe it was called the Carter family. They actually touched on it. North of Richmond is Washington D.C. So he's specifically talking about the centralized location, geographical representation of the government. And do they want total control? Absolutely. And if you think your party is the one that's going to come in and fix it all, you've been duped. Somebody, there is either a meme or something that said the right wing and the left wing are all part of the same dragon, right? The mouth is going to eat you. Doesn't matter which wing is swooping down to scoop you up to safety, right? So keep that in mind. The other line here, let's go back and listen to the second line.
I don't think you know, but you do. And they don't think you know, but I know that you do.
And they don't think you know, but I know that you do. I have 2 master's degrees, believe it or not. One of them is a Master of Public Administration with an emphasis in government and policy. And the very first class, this was 10 years ago that I took this class, so I'm not going to remember exactly what it says. And I don't even remember the term right now, but there are things written into law. And it's been a suspicion, a popular suspicion forever. But there are things that are written with the general understanding from politicians that we're either too lazy to try to understand it or we just don't understand it. And I do think more of it falls on the former. I do think we go about our lives with a general I don't know, and I can't be bothered to learn it. We're all guilty of that. I don't know as much about that shit as I could, right? But I think we all have this underlying suspicion that things aren't right. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more later. It's not spelled out in front of us that here are the things wrong, but we know something's wrong. We know it. And Oliver Anthony acknowledges that. Hey, they don't think you know, but I know that you do. And that's powerful to me.
'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men,
So, I got to pause this a lot, right? But the taxes, tax to no end part of it, that's huge. That's a big part of it. I do think taxes are a scam. I think a lot of you think taxes are a scam. I mean, if you're a big proponent for the welfare state, you will not think taxes are a big scam. But, I mean, to be taxed on your income, and then you are also taxed for the house that you pay for on property taxes from the taxed income that you already paid. And then going to the store to buy the bare necessities. I know some states don't charge taxes on food, etc. But for most places, we're paying taxes, for the food, for clothing, on already taxed income. And then at the end of the year, it's a big, you have to file your taxes on a number that the centralized, the IRS says, hey, we know what you still owe us or that we owe you. And so you might think, oh, great. So you're going to tell us? Nope. You have to figure it out. Okay. Well, what if I'm wrong? Well, then you're going to prison. So it's just a weird, it's a very convoluted, scammy type system. If it wasn't the government telling you, and if you weren't raised up knowing that this is just how things are, if somebody called you and broke this down, hey, I'm going to give you some money, but I'm going to take half of it back. And then every time you spend money that I gave you, you're going to have to send me a little portion of that money back to me. I mean, you'd hang up on them. It's a scam. It's an absolute 100% scam. I don't want to get too deep into that, but he hits the nail on the head here. We're going to talk about the eloquence of his delivery in a little bit, so stay with me.
I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the whole beast milking welfare.
So the island, the miners on an island somewhere, I'm not going to touch that one. That's a little bit too political for me. I mean, it could be a human rights issue, whatever, but I'm not, that's not for me. But I did want to at least address the fact that I recognize it, and I'm not going to touch it. He says, I wish politicians would look out for miners in the other sense. And I think we don't even have to apply that to like the physical act of mining. You know, I think miners represents, you know, one of the most essential blue collar jobs out there in the world that may not get enough recognition. But I think that the miner can be a representative of anybody, you know, anybody in that type of role. You know, it could be, you know, my wife is a teacher. You know, are we looking out for teachers the way we should? Are we looking out for firefighters the way we should? About railroad workers, or you know, oil field workers, or service industry. I mean, the list can go on and on. People that go to work to make somebody else's money for them. What are we doing for them aside from leeching off of them via tax dollars? I just, it's crazy to me.
God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame.
We're going to talk about the obese thing and the fudge rounds here in just a little bit, but it's gonna reference a Rolling Stone article that I think they completely missed the point, and that was probably intentional. Completely missed the point. Let's move on. We're going to touch on it.
What the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is.
You can hear the disappointment.
Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men know the Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control.
Look at the sweat
Wanna know what you
coming through his shirt. The setting.
Wanna know what you do.
The setting couldn't have been. I don't even want to talk a whole lot about the artistic value of the song and the video, but you know, putting himself in the woods next to a deer stand with dogs around him, you know, with a dobro style Gretsch guitar, that's perfect. Even though it's a song from the heart, it is marketing. He's sweating. I mean, it's summertime, and Virginia's not. It's on the borderline. It's still hot up there, so it really helps the message quite a bit.
And then I don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit.
It ain't.
It's taxed to no end.
It is.
'Cause the rich men, north the rich men.
Absolutely. Sing it, my man.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Beautiful. Radio West Virginia. Big shout out to Radio West Virginia for picking this up and running with it. I think they had a good plan in place, and if he kept recording songs just on his phone and putting it out there, I don't know that he would have gotten the recognition or the notoriety that he's gotten so far since then. So, yeah, big shout out Radio West Virginia for putting that out. Side note, on a little personal note there, this kind of music is what I was raised on. I'm from East Tennessee. I had a cousin, David Jr., who looked remarkably similar to Oliver Anthony here. Red beard and all, but he played mandolin. And he does play guitar, but he played mandolin most often from my memory. This song has been reacted to, dissected, analyzed over the last 4 or 5 days or more. I'm very late to the game, but this isn't the kind of video that I make. And what compelled me to do that today, I don't know. I felt like I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Maybe because of all the reactions that I've consumed. The obese thing. I want to take a look at this article from Rolling Stone. I'm not paying for a subscription, so I can't read all of it. But I mean, knowing that a lot of the media out there panders to one side of the aisle, it's no contest that, the subtitle of the article, a singing farmer in Virginia blasts high taxes. Okay, everybody should blast. Why would you want high tax? Who wants that? And obese people. Come on. He's not blasting obese people, okay? Does he say the obese are abusing welfare? Yes, he says that. It's not a blast on obese people. It's a blast to the welfare system that we've created using the tax dollars that we talked about earlier. You're 5'3" and 300 pounds. Taxes ought not to pay on your bag of fudge rounds. So, again, I don't think it's really a dig on obese people. I think instead it's, you can get yourself into cycles. If you've ever been addicted to anything, Oliver Anthony admitted in some interviews recently that he went through some addiction with alcohol, maybe drugs. I don't remember the interview that well. I do think gluttony is another addiction, but the welfare system does. Again, not trying to be too extra political, is now we found somebody's weakness, right? We found an addiction, and we're going to keep giving you these welfare dollars, right? And so now you can keep feeding into your addiction. It's not drugs, it's fudge rounds. So it's not illegal, right? It's fudge rounds. It's not cocaine. And that makes you more dependent on me, the government, as a provider for the very means in which to fuel your addiction. You see, it just goes round and round and round. And what that does from a political sense is it makes you, now, if you're not too lazy to go out and vote, you're going to vote for things that are most likely to keep you in that cycle, because now you're comfortable. Now you found a home in it. And the worst fear for somebody like Rolling Stone, who might pander to that side, is that, hey, these people are going to wake up one day, realize that what's going on to them. And now not only do we lose a reader, I mean, per se, but we lose somebody from this. So they want to make sure from this side of the aisle. So they want to make sure that they're really making sure that they hammer this guy for slamming obese people. That's just, I just don't think they could be farther from the truth there. It blows my mind that they would even attempt to take that route with it. Now, on the other side of the aisle, we have reactions from the entire Daily Wire crew. Ben Shapiro did a reaction, Matt Walsh did a reaction. I'm not a huge fan of Matt Walsh, but I do think he kind of hit the nail on the head with his reaction. If you want to go check that out, go check that out. And then Michael Knowles also did a reaction, which I can usually appreciate Michael Knowles. He's a little bit too religious for my taste, but that's his thing. So why would I bash that? If I listen to him, I know what I'm getting myself into. This clip is where Michael Knowles lost me in his evaluation of Richmond, north of Richmond.
And the other thing that's raw about this song is that I'm not knocking the guy at all. This is a wonderful story and it's a good song. But the lyrics could be tuned up. He's rhyming away with away. He's rhyming rich men and Richmond, which is not. Those don't actually rhyme. The lyrics are a little bit.
Keep listening. He's got the wrong idea, but already let's just keep going.
Confused here because is this a neo way with a way? The lyrics are a little bit confused here because is this a neo-Confederate anthem, as the liberals are calling it? Richmond is the capital of the Confederacy. So is that what he's talking about? Those damn Northerners coming in here and bringing their Reconstruction or something? He's wailing about this 200 years later, 150 years later. No, I don't think so. I think he's probably referring to Washington, D.C. as the rich men north of Richmond, and they want to have total control. So they want to have total control. But is the problem that he's not making his money? Is the problem that he is being forced to sell his soul or being encouraged to sell his soul? Is it a substance question, the substantive nature?
I think you guys get the idea. There's a reason why this video of Oliver Anthony has, it's getting close to 20 million views. The man's got several songs in the top 10 lists of most streaming services out there. When you look at the reactions or you look at the comments in that video, there is an international draw. Like has been said, it is an anthem of our time. And I don't think it's clearly not just an anthem for the American people. When you read through, hey, this is, what's his name from Sweden? I'm from Germany. I'm from England. I'm from all over the world. And so I think Michael Knowles really, really misses the mark here from the artistic standpoint. For this type of music, for this type of song, you don't need that precision. If you know me, if you're a watcher, if you're a viewer of my channel, you know how much I love Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's a personal thing for me. One of the things that was a big draw to Lynyrd Skynyrd back then, it was Ronnie Van Zant, the singer and the songwriter. He intentionally wrote songs. They kept it to 3 chords. In fact, Freebird had 5 chords, and because of it, they took a long time before they could actually do something with that song. But his words, his lyrics, his message were extremely simple. He wanted to specifically relate to the people he was singing to, And I think Oliver Anthony's doing the same thing here. And maybe Oliver Anthony's vocabulary isn't that vast. I don't believe that, but maybe it isn't. Or, maybe it's just by accident. But the reason people relate to this song is because the broader message, and it's not even a call to action. It's not a call to action. It's the realization that Oliver Anthony, me, Uncle Bogator, you maybe, we can all relate to how he feels in this song. And so it doesn't even matter what words rhyme with what words. He's not saying this is a substance problem or a soul problem. If you watch the rest of this Michael Knowles video, he talks a lot about, is this a populist statement? Is it, a progressive statement or whatever he's saying? It's like, dude, you're completely missing the point. And this guy lives in Tennessee now, but he's from California, right? So don't overthink it. Don't overthink. People can relate because it's a message that we all understand, regardless of if he rhymes Richmond with Richmond. It's so off-brand for Oliver Anthony. It's not. I was actually kind of offended, and I do like Michael Knowles a little. I was actually a little bit offended that he took that approach with it. And one more reaction. Yeah, 21 million views on this particular video, but I was kind of looking at The Hill, which I'm not really a big fan of The Hill, but when I was looking at reactions, I was reading it. This is another statement that you could tell they have it all wrong.
But I'm not, when I hear that song, by the way, I should say it's obviously not really my kind of music, but I think it has a lot of artistic merit. I see why it's going viral. It's a compelling performance.
It's not a compelling performance. I think we all know that. It doesn't have a whole lot of artistic merit. The guitar play, if you really want to break it down, Oliver Anthony, if you happen to watch this, again, this isn't a dig. The guitar playing is fundamental. It's not stellar. I can relate to that. I can't play guitar as well as you can. The lyrics are extremely elementary. The performance is, while convicting, there's a lot of conviction in his facial expressions and his voice. There's not a whole lot to it. This guy's talking out of his ass. That really bothers me because they're more concerned about what they're going to say than listening to what the music has to say. Yeah, I think people are getting it wrong. I think to get the best reactions, you can't watch The Hill and you can't watch Michael Knowles. You have to look at some of these guys and girls who do reactions and can speak from their heart. I think Oliver Anthony's song that's not even his real name, by the way. Chris is his name. He says that in an interview, but that song isn't about the surface level of the lyrics. It resonates with me. It resonates with you because we get it. The ingredients only matter in the way that the final pie comes out, and everybody is tasting this pie. And we love it. Thanks for coming along.